You think you know a guy. Steven Spielberg is, without a doubt, one of the biggest names in Hollywood. He's one of my favorite directors, and his list of work is incredibly remarkable. I mean, we're talking Jaws, E.T., Schindler's List, Jurassic Park, Indiana Jones, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. Or should I say, the tip of the Spielberg. Delete that. It's safe to say that most people are familiar with his work. I know I am, or at least I thought I was, until this movie came to my attention. Duel came out back in 1971. It's Steven Spielberg's very first movie. He had directed several episodes to various TV shows before, but this was his very first feature-length film. Now, even though it was originally planned to be a made-for-TV movie, it went on to become so successful that Spielberg actually had to go back and film additional scenes to increase the runtime in order to release it in theaters. Now, I learned about this movie through Cinemassacre. I'll go ahead and put a link to their video below. Okay, so if you're like me and you've never heard of this movie, I'll go ahead and give you a brief synopsis. Dennis Weaver plays David, a man who's driving along the highway when he comes across a big truck that's driving way too slow and spewing out some nasty clouds of exhaust.
And your slippers. And quite frankly, I've adopted most
Talk about pollution.
He passes a truck, which pisses off the truck driver. So the entire rest of the movie is about the truck chasing him and trying to kill him. It's a lot like The Car, or Christine, or even Joyride. But since Duel came out first, a lot of its success kind of paved the way for these killer car movies. Get it? Paved the way? Delete that. But what I especially love about Duel is it's just so simple. It really is just about a guy being chased and attacked by a crazed truck driver. It's like Tom and Jerry for adults. Seriously, a 5-year-old could follow along. There's no stupid love story subplot. There's nothing supernatural. The police never get involved. We never even meet the truck driver. I mean, other than like a short scene where we see his arm and his boots. It's a lot like Jaws in that way, how we never really see the monster, or in this case, the bad guy. You know, the plot never has to slow down in order for us to meet the truck driver. We never have to learn about his motives and blah, blah, blah. And since we never meet this trucker, the truck itself is what's given all the characterization. And it works so well. It's so evil looking. It's just so greasy and gritty. The close-ups are all kept real low, which really shows off how big the truck is, especially when next to the tiny car. It really is like a vehicle version of Jason Voorhees, and the chase scenes are legit. There's no green screens here. I mean, it looks like they just shoved a camera out of a car window to get a lot of these shots. Also, a lot of the chase scenes were done next to cliffs or hills, and when I first watched this, it seemed to me it was done this way to make it seem like more claustrophobic, which it does, but in an interview with Steven Spielberg, I learned that he did this for another reason. With the terrain so close behind the vehicles, it really fools the eye into thinking that the cars are moving a lot faster than they are. Coupled with the fact that the camera's also kept so low, this came together to make the chase scenes just so much more exciting. Now, this movie does have a lot of chase scenes, but it's not just one giant chase scene. There's plenty of moments where David manages to pull off and rest. He stops at a gas station. He stops at a diner. He even stops by a lady on the side of the road selling rattlesnakes.
You mind checking those radiator hoses?
I'll do that. Take a look at my snakes if you have time.
Because, I mean, why not? It's not weird or anything.
Squirrel? We're looking for the interstate.
You sure you don't want one? I taught this one to shake hands. He's not for sale, though.
Now, none of these stops take any of the suspense away. It's not like he pulls over and then the truck just disappears. No, instead we get some really tense moments, including him trying to figure out who the truck driver is in a crowd, or him actually trying to avoid being run over, while at the same time avoid being bitten by snakes.
Watch out for snakes!
If anything, these little breaks from the road throughout the movie, they really help to keep the movie from getting too repetitive. So, I guess what I'm trying to say is, the pacing is good. Okay, if I had to reach for something that I didn't like about the movie, it's gotta be how David was introduced. The first stop he makes is in a gas station, where he calls his wife from a payphone, and he just, like, makes himself at home in a way that just seems so rude. He just throws his feet up on the table, doesn't pay any attention to this poor person trying to pass through. He's also talking to his wife about how she was just harassed by somebody, but he's like, whatever.
I mean, I think you could have at least said something to the man last night. I mean, after all, he was practically trying to rape me in front of that whole party.
Oh, come on, honey.
Not a very likable character. To me, it seemed like they were setting him up to be a jerk and then to kind of have him get what he deserved by the trucker. But that's not how this movie went, and it took some time for me to get on board with liking the main character. Now, typically I wouldn't mind like an anti-hero character where, you know, he's flawed in the beginning, but then we learn to appreciate him as the movie goes on. But I don't think this is something that they were doing on purpose, because the movie never really addressed his actions later on. We just have this annoying, flawed person in the beginning, and they never really address it again. I realize this isn't a terrible complaint. It's not. And honestly, it's no more awkward than a woman on the side of the road selling rattlesnakes. Now, if you made it this far into my video, good for you. Prove it by clicking the like button. Thanks for watching, everyone. My name's Kenny, and until next time, let's not just watch movies, let's talk about them too. Oh, some of those jokes are really bad.